Hey, are you using Excel and you want to remove duplicate values? Well, then this video is for you. Welcome to my channel, Jason Lucas Excel Formulas. Let's get into it. All right, so on the left, I have a table with a list of fruits. Actually, really, it's only two fruits. I have apple and orange, but they come in various colors and sizes. To remove duplicates, it's actually really quite simple in Excel. You just need to go to the data menu, and then from the data menu, under the data tools section, you have a button to remove duplicates. I'm going to click on that, and by default, Excel automatically detected my range and also my data headers. I could uncheck that and it'll include the data headers, but I'm going to leave it checked because it just makes sense to keep those headers unselected. Now, I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, but one thing that always used to confuse me was when multiple columns were selected, I was never quite sure what was actually being removed. So I'm just going to go through this example by selecting different columns just so we can take a look at what actually gets removed. So in the first scenario here, I'm going to uncheck column B and C. And so what this means is that we're only going to be looking at column A for duplicates. So that means that the only criteria for our duplicate is going to be column A. So anything that is a duplicate in here will be removed. So in theory, we should only be left with apple and orange. Let's go ahead and hit OK. And yes, that confirms that analysis. So in this example, I'm going to select multiple columns to do my duplicate value analysis, but I'm going to do it by selecting columns A and C and not looking at column B, just to demonstrate how Excel is analyzing the data. So if I leave out column B, what I should be left with is one row, and that's because it's not looking at column B in terms of color, red, green, and red. It's only looking at columns A and C. So columns A and C are identical across all three rows. So I should only be left, as I said, with one row. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go back to the data menu, and then I'm going to select remove duplicates. And just like last time, it automatically found my range. So I'm just going to unselect B and hit OK, and I will be left with only one row. In our final example, we're going to take a look at all three columns. So this means that this time we're also going to include the color of the fruit as well. So that means that if we look at this a little bit more closely, we should be left with two rows, and that's because red and green are unique. So I'm going to go ahead and remove duplicates the same way as I did last time by going into Data and selecting Remove Duplicates. And this time I will leave all three columns selected and hit OK. Excel also has a function to help us work with duplicate values, and that function is the unique function. This one is useful, I find, if I want to transpose the data somewhere else as opposed to manipulating the original data set. Another thing to note is that unique might not be available if you're using an older version of Excel. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to type in the = unique. And our first argument is the array, and that is actually the only required argument for this function to work. The other two are optional. So in this case here, our array is our table. I'm going to go ahead and select that and close the bracket. And there we have our table with unique values. One thing I did notice with the unique function is that it's either all columns or one column. I can't just pick and choose my columns. So let me give you an example. If I go to unique and I want to select column A, as I did in my previous examples when I was going through the menu, and column C, it's going to return a value error. But I could, if I wanted, select just column A, and it will bring me back apple and orange. I'm going to do a quick overview of the two optional arguments in the unique function. So let's go ahead and do that again. So I'm going to = unique, and I'm going to select my array, and this time I'm just going to use a horizontal table, just to give you an example of what that second function is actually doing. So it's for working with horizontal tables. So I've selected my range, and in this case here, I'm going to just select true. Close the bracket, and so what it did is it removed my duplicate values in a horizontal table. All right, and let's take a look at the final argument in the unique function. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that again. Equals unique. I will select my array, and just for the purpose of this example, to really demonstrate what this final argument is doing, I'm just going to select our first 3 rows. I'll pass over the second argument, and so the third argument is only returned rows or columns that appear exactly once in an array. So what that means is that if I look at my first 3 rows in my array, apple red small appears twice. So what that means is that if I set this function, this argument to true, it's only going to return apple green, because that is the only value that appears once in my array. Let's go ahead and close the bracket. Actually, I should actually set it to true before I close the bracket. Now I'll close the bracket, hit enter, and there you go. Another cool feature of the unique function is that it becomes dynamic when working with a table. So let's go ahead and specify a table for our data set here. I'm going to just click anywhere in there, go to Format as Table, and OK. And let's type our formula. Equals unique. And I'm going to just specify my table. So to do that, what I need to do is just scroll over the top left column, and you'll see that my arrow starts pointing down on a 45-degree angle. I will do that. Close my bracket, hit enter, and let's just add something that would be unique. Let's do orange, orange, large. And you can see that my table updates in real time, but if I wanted to add this again, it won't update. There you go. And that's because orange is a duplicate, so it was not added to our results. Third way we can remove duplicates is by using Power Query. So first, let's create a table. Next, let's head on over to the data menu, and in there you'll look for from table/range. So within Power Query, one thing to note is that Power Query is case sensitive. When you use the unique function, or when we were just going straight from the menu to remove duplicates, that was not case sensitive. So I'm just going to standardize the case across all the columns. In order to do that, I'm going to select Change Type. I'm going to select my columns. I'm going to go to the Transform tab. From there, I'm going to go to Format, and I'm going to pick what seems to be the most appropriate for me. So I think what would be the most appropriate for this table is to capitalize each word. I'll hit OK. Let's go back to the Home tab, and let's just specify which columns we want to use in our analysis. For this example, I'll specify column A and column C, and we will ignore column B. So I'm just going to select those 2 columns, and then I'm going to select Remove Rows, and we're going to go with Remove Duplicates. You'll see that Remove Duplicates was added to a step on the right side here. All right, so now if we're good with our data, I'm going to go to the Close and Load, hit Close and Load to. This will bring us back to our sheet. I'm just going to select Existing Worksheet, specify a cell where I want to display the data, and hit OK. Another way that we can remove duplicates from our data is by using the Advanced Filter feature in Excel. In order to do that, I will first select my range. I will then go to the data menu. I will select Advanced under Sort and Filter. Want to make sure to click Unique Records Only. We can either filter it in place or copy to another location. For this example here, I will copy to another location. I already have a location in the copy to text box from just testing this out. I will hit OK, and there we go. Hey, that's it for today's video. A little change of scenery from the beginning. It's a beautiful day, and I had to take advantage of the lilacs being in bloom. They're only in bloom for such a short period of time. With that said, I hope you found this information helpful, and have a great day.